of a pro gamer. One that has appeared on many people's radar as of his qualification and moving on in the Global StarCraft League. It's Reynor, the now 16-year-old Zerg player from Italy. He's playing up against Special, and I believe this is from WCS. I should actually look for that. This is from, WESG 2017. A couple $100,000 on the line for this tournament. But Zerg versus Terran. Reynor, known for his counterattack style a lot of the time. Now it really does depend. Special, also one of those type of players. Special's multitasking is ridiculous. It's near, there are probably a single-digit number of players, of Zerg players in the world who can really keep up with him. And I haven't seen this game. I don't know. For all I know, Reynor loses. But I just want to take a look at how he plays. I want to learn how to play. I've been struggling with Zerg versus Terran myself. This was played a few months ago in earlier 2018, but, I mean, they haven't removed Terran yet, so nothing has really changed that dramatically. Alright, it's going to be a hatch gas pool to start. This is the classic, the bread and butter. The first Overlord is going towards the natural. Just get some information, see if a Reaper's coming out, seeing if there's an expansion. And then the second Overlord is scouting over to the right side for the most obvious proxy location, and then making its way back in to scout for other proxy locations. And now the question is, will he send it across the map? Because usually the time that a Terran player is committing to their tech is between the 3 and 4 minute mark, if they're expanding. And we see an expansion there. The Reaper's already outside the base. Well, it was outside the natural, it looked like, for a second, because now I've looked at a lot of special games. Specials games. From the first person as well. He has a tendency not to SCV scout, but instead to hold back his Reaper. I believe he did SCV scout this game, so he is sending the Reaper out pretty early on. But he's much like Innovation, like, this is my build, and I'm doing my build, and execute it near perfectly. He's flexible, but he would really like to do his build how he's figured out the perfect, or very near perfect way to do it. But we're talking about Reynor here. Reynor holding off getting a third very early, instead opting for 2 additional queens, going up to 4 queens before going for a third base. Looks like he's just going to wait for enough Zerglings to drive away that. There's no follow-up here. He's not really mining gas, though he's rallying some drones into it now. So he wants the third. He's not going for an attack. But at the same time, he's not worried about being denied it for a few extra seconds, because starting some creep spread as well as just getting that queen count up can give you some general defense against any sort of early harass. Hellions, medevacs, liberators, what have you. There, the Hellions coming up. Now, a good thing to take note of, and this is what I try to do whenever I'm watching players way better than me or better than me, both of which exist, is where you put your Overlords. The first Overlord for Reynor is on the other side on that little pervert pillar overlooking the natural base. The second Overlord, after scouting for proxies, found its way a little bit further out to see any Hellions or Reapers moving out, but he's pulling it back now because we're right after 4 minutes. This is when the Viking customarily comes out. Or just about that timing. So that way he can have vision still at the front, but not lose his Overlord to a Viking for free. Because you know for sure Special's already scouted that. Now, is there a Viking? Coming in, seeing. Now, we can see that that's concussive shell upgrading on the tech lab. Oh, the mind games out of Special I could talk about all day. But he stopped and restarted it, so a mind game coming out. But he sees a tech lab upgrading, but no starport. The lack of starport is a little suspicious. No vision here either, so no Overlord on the edge of the base. Means this Hellion drop could do some real damage. Not that many Zerglings for Reynor either. He's getting the double upgrades. I think he's pretty convinced this is going to be a bio follow-up right now, so he's been duped by Special. Unfortunately, not killing off that medevac, getting the 1-1 upgrades on the ground. There are queens. He's separate. He has 2 separate queen hotkeys here, which is interesting. I think one is for the queens he has in his main, one for the ones out on the map, and it looks like he's using camera locations to flip between his bases for injects, but I'm not 100% sure. Oh no. Oh no. More drones getting roasted. 11 drones so far. Special continuing to come in towards the third. Reynor goes for the wraparound. The queen's trying to help out. So many drones getting roasted right off the bat. Reynor fed a lot of misinformation and caught out of position. And that'll leave the worker count right now. 45 for Reynor, 46 for Special. But as a Zerg player who's going for these double upgrades, a lot of queens, you want to have that overwhelming worker count so you can make units later on. If you have to make units early, that slows down your tech, that slows down your lair, and that means a follow-up attack out of a Terran could be devastating. But having the 1-1 on the Lings, and Reynor loves his Lings, it is going to be helpful as long as you're not directly up against Hellbats or a ton of Hellions. Unfortunately, I think Reynor still has... At this point, you got to realize, okay, this is Mech. This is Mech. He's made about 12 Hellions or more in this game so far. Possibly more. Sees the third base building. Sees it just landed. Reynor adding on the lair. He's adding on a few more drones, but a lot more Zerglings as well. Kills his own creep trimmer. That's the free up. It was blocking his 4th base, so even pros make mistakes. I wonder how he's doing his creep spread. I guess he's just moving his camera around on the minimap, is what it looks like. 1-1 is complete. +1 ranged attack on the way, so we're going to see a transition probably immediately into Hydralisks. And then will there be... Does he feel like he has space for an infestation pit in order to be able to go up to Hive? I doubt it. 64 to 62 drones. The Lings coming in on the right side. The wall wasn't up yet. There's not that much at home to defend, but Special sending a Liberator to the main. Some SCVs have fallen, but the Hellbats are moving forward. There's no Banelings to deal with this, and Cyclones will reinforce this push. Those are +1 mech weapons, Hellbats and Cyclones. Reynor trying to find an angle. Splitting his Lings against Hellbats almost seems futile, but it can help a little bit, and he needs every little bit. Drones starting to fall. The Liberator gonna kill the last queen. The drones have to retreat. The Liberation Zone more than enough. There's next to no anti-air. Banelings were able to complete. It's just the Cyclones now. 28 more Zerglings on the way. They will pop out just in time. Unfortunately, the Spore Crawler not quite in position. The Queen's being assassinated here, but the Zerglings should be able to clean up the rest of the clones. Reynor, the smoke will clear. Oh my god, Special, you stop right now, you disgusting Terran. The Spore Crawler trying to chase it. More Hellions and potential Hellbats coming in. Finally kills the Liberator. The smoke clears 68 to 67 workers. Reynor has held on. He didn't lose that many drones in that last exchange. The Queens were the buffer that kept the drones alive. But can he rebuild them in time? Some Hydralisks are on the way. An infestation pit, muscular augments. But until he has all of that, it's still going to be all Special all the time. There's no Baneling speed. There's no real potential for Reynor to get across the map with more than a handful of Zerglings. Special continuing to harass. But Reynor, he's not giving up ground. He's still got a lot of creep spread to work with. Really, he knows that Hydraling Bane is probably not going to do it for him. And if we look at the production tab, we actually see Ghosts on the way, which is really cool out of Special. He might be suspicious. Well, I don't actually know. Like, what is the Ghost? I mean, why not have Ghosts if you can, but... Reynor has a group of Zerglings split off here. It looks like he has them on the 3 hotkey is what he's using for it. A group of Lings. Cleans up the attack, sees the tanks, knows this is going to be a strong mech force coming out. Is there going to be time for Vipers? Does he need Swarm Hosts? He can't afford Swarm Hosts. He's just going to have to go Hydraling Bane. But he does not have Baneling speed. A Spire on the way. Broodlords are the ultimate counter. It was a proxied starport. This explains so much. Well, it explains how the Hellion drop got in quite as quickly as it did, catching Reynor a little off guard. The scout on the 4th. A few Lings slipped by.
Mineral field depleted.
Right now, Reynor at 400 actions per minute, Special at 330 on average. It's only going to go up from here.
Mineral field depleted.
creep spread. He knows this attack is coming in. Already trying to set up a spread, a flank, to minimize the splash damage of pretty much everything involved in the Terran army. Another Zergling counterattack comes in. He gets on top of the tank. Reynor always slipping in with the lings. There's a ghost out there. Scouting that ghost is also very important. Might want to invest in some infestors. But the Hydras with a nice split. Another counterattack! He delays the 4th base. Actually, no, it finishes at the last second. But a lot of these Zerglings are going to go down as well. The Hydra's getting shelled by the tanks, but pick off a few of the Hellions. A Liberator on the 3rd base, but Reynor slips away in time. Another base. The base will be lifted at the 4th. Reynor at the 4th as well. He's got the siege tanks on top of him. Alright, the Liberator going to work. But Reynor has a response. There's a snipe coming out. Like, the Ghost doesn't really have much to do right now. Maybe eventually some EMPs or snipes on Vipers. Another round of shells come in. What's the play, Reynor? Does he have space to slip out some Zerglings? He's always trying. Some Zerglings coming around the right side. A Viper draining energy from one of these hatcheries. Reynor unfortunately forced away from his 4th base. He's up against the wall. He actually just goes for the counterattack instead of going for the wraparound. He knows without at least a blinding cloud or something. Pulls out the Ghost, which means he won't get EMP'd in the next engage. Is there any anti-air besides this? There's one Cyclone, another Ghost. Are the mutas enough? The Zerglings get in. They don't have adrenal glands, but they're in the right position at every time. SCV starting to fall. He's lost the 4th, but there's no anti-air. Special still forced into an awkward position where he has nothing to deal with the mutas. 4 mutas are chipping through all of this, forcing Special to retreat from what looks like a deadly push. A few more tanks will go down, but Reynor has held on, retaking his base. A Greater Spire's on the way. Blue Flame Hellbats are untouchable until you have the Hydras at the back. With these counterattacks, keeping Special, he keeps having to come home. The worker count, 78 to 69. That might change in a moment. In fact, right now, more workers for a Terran player. The snipes come out. The mutas were just there to force this army away. They did their job. The upgrade's not so great for Reynor, despite all this. He's still kind of on borrowed time, to be honest. Splits the Banelings so Hellbats or anything like that won't hurt too much. More SCVs fall. The Broodlords are the late game, but Reynor's still struggling for an economy and for production. His upgrades are quite mediocre. Special at 2-1. He's going towards 2-2. He actually killed the turret, so in come the mutas again. Reynor now at 404, losing not found on the APM counter. 4 Broodlords on the way. He's looking to defend the next attack. He knows it's going to be a near maxed out Mech army, but he just doesn't let Special move out. There's always Zerglings. There's always Banelings. There's always mutas. But Reynor's still only on 4 bases. Special probably has a 5th command center at the very least. Some mutas sneaking into the main. A single Liberator coming out on the left side. He sees one going towards the main as well, but the main attack, the main thrust coming through the center. Unfortunately, the Broodlord's exposed. He's able to snipe one Ghost before it gets its hit off. The Ghost doesn't get any MP. One Thor brought into the action. A beautiful blinding cloud will force the army into an awkward scenario. The Liberator's getting thrown back as well. Reynor with beautiful Broodlord. Well, I was about to say beautiful Broodlord control, but it was more right place, right time. He had the support for the Broods. And now Special has been driven back again, and Reynor is on the attack. The mutas eventually shut down in the main, but it forced a little bit more micro out of Special, a little bit more time that he can't be focusing on how to defend against the Brood. And just like that, Reynor's up by 20 supply. Another attack coming in. The siege tank's doing more friendly than unfriendly fire. This base, Reynor's assaulting it. He's somehow kept Special at bay. He's kept him on the back foot, which is somewhere you almost never see him. The Hellion counterattack coming in. Production being reset to try to deal with this. Looks like some drones will fall. Reynor has taken out, well, most of the SCVs at that base and forced it to lift, accomplishing the best he could hope for. He wants more. He wants to finish it. The Broodlords are coming in. There's not that much for cover, but he's microing back. There's still a lot of mech here. Are there any Vipers? There's one Viper. A lot of Hydras underneath. They only have 1-2 upgrades. He just now starts the +2. meaning he's not entirely sure if the game's about to end or not. Another Liberator comes in. Special always has something on hand. It's a great game. We got a breather.
Mineral field depleted.
The Liberator hunted down. Reynor rotating on. I mean, if Special's only on 3 bases, he can deal with that. He's on 4. The Vikings get one of the Brood Lords. A lot of Hydras ready to shoot it down. More Vipers on the way. The only concern really is the base on the far left. Reynor doesn't know if Special has it, and he hasn't split off any units to check. Some battery pack evolution chambers coming up at the front. The creep spread has been kind of shut down since all these attacks have been continually killing queens and forcing them away. Dropper Lords on the way, 4, in fact. As Reynor starting to build a stronger army instead of a quicker one. And by that I mean more focused on spellcasters and Brood Lords than running a bunch of Zerglings and Hydras around. Dropper Lord split off can maybe get you some efficient trades to free up supply. More Hellions coming out. He sees the army, and this might, well, he might incidentally scout if there's a base there. That's still the big question. Is there another base in the bottom left corner? That's the only thing that Reynor doesn't really know right now. It's not that easy to take, but there's just been no scout of it. The main base is mining out. Reynor actually takes the gold, but with his unit composition and setup, this might be one of the safer bases to take, because he can defend both of these angles with Brood Lords pretty easily. The drop's coming in. He's actually bringing the Vipers with him, kind of surprisingly. Not that some questionable energy usage there, but he does get a parasitic bomb off. Reynor with 4 drops coming into the main. Special with Hellions in towards one of the newer bases of Reynor. The gold base is starting to mine for him. The drop's on top of the production. All you have to do is beat a mech army once if you take out the production behind it. In fact, if you beat a mech army once, you probably won the game. But just its ability to reinforce can be devastating. The Hellbats, Reynor with a little bit of micro against them, just enough. Special brings a lot of units back. Down goes a tank. The Dropper Lords, are they going to be shut down? The army at the front. The Vikings in a great position, but a parasitic bomb to counter them out. Still a Hellbat going to work on the base to the north. The drop in the main is cleaned up. The Hellbats are cleaned up as well. Supply is still relatively close to even. 12 more Corruptors on the way. Income pretty healthy for Reynor now. He has 64 drones, but he does have a gold base, which means his army is very strong. You got to put it all together in the right place. He's only now going for the +3/+3. Special moving up. He's retaken that forward base, so that's probably not with too many minerals. A big fight coming out. EMP is trying to hit the Vipers. He gets an abduct, but he needs that energy. He actually connected with the Vipers with the EMP. The push continues forward. A lot of Vikings. These Brood Lords can evaporate very quickly. And the Brood Lords are the only thing pushing back this mech army. Here comes Reynor. Any blinding clouds in the mix here? No. He's got maybe a couple in the back. He's getting on top of the tanks. The Vikings being taken out, but where's the ground army from Reynor? He's got 16 more Hydras on the way. The Viper's trying to consume. He's looking for an option. He's going to the main. He's actually going to try to spray all over the main and take it down. But without the Vipers, more drones falling. He needs those Vipers. The blinding cloud's the only hope for taking things out. Some caustic spray onto a key planetary. Reynor dipping in supply. Without the Brood Lords, it's hard to dislodge those tanks. 2 abducts coming out. Good kills. But the Vipers, a transfuse at the last second. Another Thor goes down. He's on top of the tanks. They're exposed. Takes out the planetary. On top of the Vikings. And Reynor picking apart the mech army. The first wave couldn't do it. The second wave couldn't, but the third comes together. He has the army. He has the position. He's denying Special's mining. He can just go straight for the orbital. It doesn't matter if you defend this location if you can't hide from it. But it's not enough. Oh my god, he forgot groove spines. He's just now starting at wondering why his Hydras weren't quite shooting as far. All of this without that extra range on the Hydralisks. It happens to the best of us. Another abduct. He's starting to pick apart these mech units. Maybe one parasitic bomb? No, more abducts right into the Hydras. And Special is crumbling. He doesn't have the income. GG! Special taps out. Reynor takes it. He did have the bottom left. Like, how much did he mine from that? Okay, he didn't mine that much, but Special did have the bottom left. But throughout it, Reynor picking apart the Terran with some of the best multitasking in the game. Yeah. And this was a few months ago, before GSL. So. Well, he's pretty good. He's pretty good at the video games. Specifically this video game. So.